Welcome back to the Netherkast, episode, I believe, 43. I am Black Cyborg, joined, as always, by temporary username, Shadaloo, and Razor! Somebody stop me, Razor!
It started as
I'm doing good.
I like it when you do your radio host voice, but then that turned into like a game show thing.
Oh, man, that was brutal.
If I could just somehow mime both, like, the neighbor yelling, shut up, throwing a bottle at you, the bottle breaking, and a cat running off with a cry of, I would do so.
All right.
But not good enough for my liking.
Oh, okay, jeez.
You need a soundboard, I think, is what you're saying there.
I tried the soundboard once, and then
bad idea.
And then I played I'm Batman, and then got completely blown up on the forums for hating competitive talk. Good times.
I think it's all about how you use the soundboard. Should
No,
we get a
there's-
soundboard? Let us know in the comments.
There's no good way to use it.
All right.
Yeah.
That's a shame,
No.
though.
I'm still for this.
I feel like we're missing out.
No.
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 Inconceivable?
Or we could play Reptile's MK4 ending. We did that before, too.
That was a good time.
I demand it.
All right, here's what we got to talk about today. We have Triborg off the top, just if any of us have changed our minds on Triborg and are a little bit more welcome to the character now that we've seen the gameplay, etc. So, right off the bat, I will give my thoughts because I don't even think I've really talked about the character. I know you guys chimed in on the individual shows, but I have yet to speak, and for me, Triborg is exactly what I kind of expected. I don't like the idea of the character. That's not going to change, I don't think. I mean, anything's possible, but I still would prefer just one of the cyborgs, or however, all the crap I said beforehand, I don't feel like has changed. But when it comes to gameplay, yeah, he looks amazing. I don't feel like that was ever my complaint over any of the characters. I think the character models in this game look fantastic. The designs are, most of them are better than they ever have been for even a lot of the returning characters. That much hasn't changed. I mean, that's what I was saying leading up to the game. And the gameplay for all these characters, including the DLC ones, all looks great thus far. And Triborg is no exception. So to me, whether I would consider getting him and trying Cyrax, honestly, out of the three characters, Cyrax was kind of the most underwhelming. So I don't know how I feel about his bomb changes and whatnot, but I'm more welcoming to the character in general, just because obviously time has passed and I've seen the character and I'm over the complaints and I just want to be happy and enjoy things by this point. 'Cause I'm tired of fighting and arguing for the roster when now we know that everything is set in stone. Nothing we bitch about is going to change at this point, so now it's just the acceptance stage, so... But it's okay. It's okay. But no, he looks good. I thought Smoke looked really good. I thought Sector looked really good. I thought Cyrax looked alright. He didn't look bad, but I didn't think his gameplay looked amazing. But yeah, no, I don't know if I decide to get him or not. I probably not, but, maybe. Anyways, your guys' thoughts? Let's start with Shadaloo.
Alright, so yeah, I've gone over my post-smoke saltiness. It's not him. But I really warmed up to him once I gave it a couple of days to think it over and got over my drinking and crying in the shower alone phase, fully clothed. But for reals, the notion of actually playing MK3 Cyber Smoke again has always had some sort of appeal to me. I've gotten a record before as going, I don't particularly care whether it's one or another, but I guess that the character's popularity endears no matter who he is. And yeah, I'm willing to give that a try again. Also, they gave Sector an air dash, and Sector was kind of my real main in MK9, so, fuck yeah. Not enthused about that one fatality I saw. Shit looks goofy as all hell. But at the end of the day, I am willing to pony up the money for Triborg. I'm very intrigued as to what his dialogue is implying, because he mentions the Tekunin at one point, I think. So he's probably not any of the original cyborgs at all in any way, shape, or form. I'm pretty sure he's an original guy, but I think that he'll at least let us know where Cyrax really is. I'm sure Zenny will probably touch on that. We'll see.
Could at least be something to take away from it for me, anyways. Give me some sort of idea because I don't necessarily believe what the comic gave us. So who knows?
Yeah, I can't put a lot of stock into that either myself. I'll try, but
All right, where are you at, Razor, with the Triborg? I think
Well-
you were the most accepting of the idea the whole
Here's
time.
the thing: I've been the most radically back and forth because at the very beginning, when you guys were all like, "I hope they don't put Sector and Cyrax in the same character and just make them variations," I was all like, "I would be 100% for that." Like, I'm the only guy on the show, I guess, who doesn't like variations, who just wants a pure Sector and a pure Cyrax as opposed to like an all bombs moveset and an all net moveset. See, I think that would be stupid. So I just want all of a guy's moves to be in one place so I can use them when I want them. And so I was for the idea of particularly, like, I wouldn't do this for any other character, but for the Cyber Ninjas, because they come off an assembly line, I like them all looking the same and all having the same sort of capabilities. So, like, the idea that they could share a character slot works for me. And then I became radically against it and super salty when we found out that this guy isn't Sector or Cyrax. He's fucking Robo Chameleon. He's a new guy. And I'm still, like, I reserve the right to still be mad about that if that remains the case when it comes out. But I have once again shifted back into the positive because all of his intros and win poses and finishers, he's not just a guy who, like, changes color. There's actually, like, 3 bodies. So maybe Sector and Cyrax are physically there involved in this character. And even if they're not, I can pretend they are because it visually looks like they are. So I'm pleased overall. Especially since they changed Cyber Smoke's color scheme to look like he did in the games. You know, he's got sort of that purplish tint now and the red eyes. I like that. And his moves look great. I could see myself... I don't think I'll main Triborg, but I could see, like, making any of his variations my secondary once I, get a feel for him.
All right.
I'll probably ditch Melina for him, truth be told.
Wow. Wait,
To me, that's the only question that really matters. Is if we're going to main him or not.
No, I wouldn't. I'm not going to main him, I don't think. I like Katana's gameplay too much. I don't think there's any other character in the game that could replace her at this point. She honestly, surprisingly enough, I mean, I liked her gameplay going into when we first saw her revealed and all that. I didn't expect to main her by any means, but I always liked what I saw for the first time. She was really, really interesting to me. But now that I've played her, she just feels like a natural fit to the gameplay that I like. I like fast characters. I like zoners. I like projectile throwers. She has a lot of cool moves and fun little stuff to do. So yeah, Cyrax has always been, especially for me being the Cyrax player and not the Smoke player of the bunch, but Cyrax has always been a very technical player. And even if I did decide, hey, I'll give Cyrax a go, I don't necessarily think I would be any better with him than I would with Katana. So, and that's kind of where I'm at. Even in MK9, Cyrax was not the best person that I played with. It was Liu Kang.
Yeah,
or
that's
Kenshu.
kind of why I don't. It's kind of why I don't see myself changing my main either. I'm too comfortable with Liu Kang. Like, maybe, like, if Triborg's strings are all press the same button 4 times like Liu Kang's are, then maybe I'm in.
But yeah, and Cyrax is, he's just a technical character, so at most I would like to try him. So if I don't end up buying him, I would like to try him at a tower type of thing. If they do a premiere tower where they kind of let you try certain characters, that'd be cool, because I would definitely like to try Cyrax and Smoke and Sector for that matter, because I do like all the cyborgs. But yeah,
Well,
I don't think I'm
do
changing
that.
my main.
Like, what they do is they'll put out a tower that's 6 fights, and 2 are one variation, 2 are another, and so on.
Right. So yeah, I would love if they did that, but yeah, I don't think even if I did like his gameplay, unless it really fits exactly what I want in the character, I don't see myself switching. Temp, you.
it was underemphasized back when we originally talked about it, but I actually agreed with Razor back at the time. I said that all bets are off for MK11. We can't. There's no guarantee we're ever going to see Cyrax or Sector or Smoke in MK11. So if the only compromise is to make a one variation cyborg, then I guess I'm okay with that. You know, I'll have one Cyrax, one Smoke, one Sector.
And let's not forget Cyber Sub.
What's that?
Let's not forget Cyber Sub.
Well, I'm a little salty about that, but I'll get to that in a second.
Quadraborg.
Quadborg.
You know, I'm actually okay with Cyber Sub being a fourth variation. What bothers me is he borrows his design from Smoke. They didn't give him an original design. So it's like Smoke finally gets a next-gen appearance and he has to share it. That rubs me the wrong way.
Well, no, there's kind of a reason for that. I mean, there's a reason and a half. The half is that they bullshitted when MK9 came out and said that Cyber Sub was made out of the body that Smoke would have gotten.
Wait, where did it say that? I never read that.
Vogel said it on Twitter or something like that.
Oh.
One of the devs.
Oh.
Because parallel timelines.
And you can sort of see it in his design. I mean, his helmet and those giant shoulder plates that stick out are different, but he has sort of the same legs that Smoke had in Deception.
Sexy legs.
No,
Let's talk about that.
My headcanon is Smoke looked the way he did in Deception in his alternate costume. As far as being a cyborg goes. Ugh, that was just, no. I hated Cyber Sub's design entirely. It was just gaudy.
Yeah, I always felt like the helmet was too Predator.
Well, it's too large and rounded, so it looks like it's bulging almost. It looks really bad in my opinion. Cyber Sub's helmet looked awful.
That Bluetooth though. He's got that built-in
built-in
hotspot.
Yeah.
Django could play online from that helmet.
Look at it this way. Can we not sit back and appreciate the amazing thing that, for once, someone else is ripping Smoke off instead of Smoke ripping off someone else for, like, the first time in MK's, like, 30-year history?
But
if the design was better, maybe. But even when I first saw Smoke in the reveal trailer, I'm like, I feel like they could have done way better, because it's not like they didn't have source material. Smoke looked so good in Deception. His alt costume, his MK3 Deception design, so to speak, looks so good.
If Cyber Sub's body had in fact been Cyber Smoke in MK9, then Smoke would have had 3 bad costumes instead of 2, so it's kind of fitting the pattern.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that...
I like how...
Terrible the whole game.
No. Bad race.
I lost track. What?
Smoke looked fine.
Smoke... he's... The air element guy is covered in plates of armor, man.
Okay. We're talking about MK9.
I'm talking about MK9.
You want to talk about plates of armor? Sector and Armageddon should have had plates of armor rather than a fucking robot equivalent of a.
He's supposed to.
He was wearing a robot tracksuit. Okay, you don't get to talk about bad designs until you talk about Armageddon.
I think they both look good. Terrible. I think they both look fine.
Ugh.
Regardless, that was only half of the 1.5 reasons why Triborg's 4th variation isn't unique. The real reason is because Cyber Sub is actually the no variation. Because Triborg doesn't have any common moves across his 3 variants, if you pick the no variant version of him, you would have no special moves. So they had to give him some special moves. That's why he got Cyber Sub.
Well, they do have chain combos that spread across each cyborg. That is transient from character to character. But, I mean, and I do have positive things to say eventually. We'll get to the positive in a second, but I wasn't really sold on Cyber Smoke's design to begin with in MKX, and now that it doesn't look great and he has to share it, that just kind of makes me a little salty, but like Razor, I was kind of pissed when I found out it was neither Cyrax nor Sector nor Smoke. This is Triborg. I'm like, what? So we've kind of traced the same journey, almost exactly. I do think the gameplay looks really interesting. That's kind of what sold me. But as I was saying earlier, the only question that matters is whether I'm going to main him or not. If I don't main him, then none of this really means anything. And I don't know. That's going to be interesting. That's going to be very fascinating to see if I'm going to take him to tournament or not. That's going to be a very interesting question. Because I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see. He looks really good. I mean, any character who has decent damage and a restand can't be that bad. I like a lot of the ideas behind him. I like the idea that his teleport takes stamina. I thought that was brilliant because that thing was ridiculous in MK9.
This is true.
Great rushdown and great
Ridiculously
getaway.
great. I don't know
All I
how
heard
feel
was
about
great.
the
What?
I don't know how I feel about the teleport requiring stamina. This means I'm gonna have to use a little bit more of that thing. What do they call it? Skill.
You
Not
got
comfortable.
this.
Well, they
Not
made up
comfortable.
for it. See, you always use the teleport punch because that's kind of all he had, that and the smoke bomb. Now
Pretty
he has
well.
a third damage move. He can shoot the spear again.
It's something, I guess.
The whole smoke bomb is kind of awkward too because he throws it all ape-like. Doesn't have sort of the finesse he had in MK9. He does like a full baseball swing behind his back and throws that and hurls that shit. I'm like, that looks a little awkward, but I like it enough. Like, I like it to try it and possibly main the character. We're just gonna have to see. I mean, Cryomancer's a lot of fun, but he's growing a little stale. There's really only two playstyles with Cryomancer, and it's all rush down, mix up, whiff punish. That's really all you're gonna be doing. Which is kind of why I want Cyborg to go over to Cyrax for MKXL. Because Cyborg used Katana, he didn't get to do a lot of the cheap and dirty stuff that makes MKX fun. I think the stuff that makes MKX really shine is all the dirty mix-up games and all the resets. Like that's where I think the game is the most fun. Even though I wish there was less of it, I think the game is a little too simple because of that. But it is a lot of fun. I think Cyborg using the zoner missed out on a lot of that cool stuff. So I do hope you go to Cyrax, Cyborg.
Yeah, no.
Or not.
He's just.
Bomb
Cyrax-
traps are hard.
It
That's what
is.
he wanted
It's
to
just
say.
difficult. Like I said, he's a very, very technical character. Always has been. And MK9. I mean, I've gotten a lot better at juggling, so maybe now I can handle the more complex stuff. But at the same time, I don't know. He's such a different type of character. You got to be a lot more methodical and set up a lot more with his stuff. But I don't know. Like I said, I'm at least intrigued and willing to check him out if I can do it without having to pay for it just to try him. But
I think you'll do better though, because a lot of his bombs construction is post net. So all you have to do is land that first ground net, and you'll get to do all the cool bomb shit now. I mean, I think there is a ceiling with Cyrax that goes very high. So to use the character at full potential, you'll probably have to do some weird kinky stuff. But I think initially, if you want to play just a core, strong, footsie character, I think you're going to be fine. I think you'll do well.
all right.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Is it all of us on Triborg? You like his brutalities? Because I like his brutalities.
I didn't really see him, I don't think.
He basically pummels your head into mulch for one of them, and the other he pummels your head into mulch, tosses you over, and another one of the Triborg drones, whatever the hell that thing is, just kind of does this teleport uppercut that splits you in half pretty well, or blows you up. One of the two.
Well, we have I mean, in the very first trailer, we sort of saw his other fatality. Is two of him hold you up in the air, and then the third one teleport uppercuts right through you.
That's good stuff. I must have missed that because I don't remember seeing it.
I'm just indifferent. They're fatalities. I don't really care. The brutalities were more appealing than I thought than the fatalities. I mean, the fatalities could have been cool as shit. I'm never going to do them.
I just like any of his stuff where the other robots come out.
I mean, I think the other one would have come across a lot better if it wasn't so super fucking colorful and circus-like. I think that's what kind of threw a lot of... It looks very Legos when you first see it, and I think...
I just
Yeah,
keep
it's pretty
hearing...
cartoony.
Yeah, exactly.
I
That's
would've
kind of
compared
what
it
came into my mind as
I
well.
compared it to a bouncy house on the Lost.
I would have honestly taken a giant clamp coming out of his chest and crushing the guy before that. That just... Ugh. What we saw was basically like MK4 Scorpion turning into a giant scorpion animality.
Come on, I love that fatality.
No, you don't.
It is unironically great.
What is wrong with you?
It's like an animality, but it actually fits him.
Your animality. Your animality.
The only
help your
one
case
who's
when you
allowed
say
to do
something's
that
like an
is
animality.
Nightwolf.
He
Night
rips
Wolf.
you in half with the tail and the pincers. It's
Night Wolf. Haha, did it.
I was waiting for you to pick up on that.
Yay!
10 points to Gryffindor.
Night Wolf. You got a wolf. There's an L in that. Wolf.
No, there's not.
Wolf.
Listeners, this is based on
Wolf.
a very, very old joke on our Netherkast.
This is an old joke.
Night
This
Wolf.
is a deep cut.
Night Wolf. Night Wolf.
Like,
Anyways, let's move on to the PC little stuff that we'll stop on that for a little bit. I want to say right off the bat, my problem, yes, the PC issue sucks. There's really nothing, honestly, there's nothing we all can say that hasn't already been said. TMK has had his rants. Other people on Twitter, during the streams, everybody's ranted. I feel like there's nothing we can say unless you guys just want us to bitch and rant and rip NRS and WB a new asshole just to like kind of feel better, but nothing we can say is going to change anything, and none of us are affected by it. And that's not like none of us are affected, so therefore it doesn't suck, who cares. It's more like everything it's already all been said, and there's nothing else we can say. There's really nothing. Like, I don't want to go on a 15-minute rant about how much bullshit it is, because we already know that it sucks. We already know that that's absolute blasphemy that it's happening like that, but there's nothing we can do. So I don't even...
It's not a topic you can discuss, it's just a fact.
Yeah, it's not... There's no amount of complaining, there's no amount of petition signing, in my opinion, that's going to change that. They did it for a specific reason, be it NRS's, WB's, or a mixture of the two. Somebody decided they can't do it for whatever reason, or they don't want to do it, it's not worth the time, the resources, or they just don't trust the porting. So,
didn't one of you... I don't remember if this was on the Warrior Shrine or if I listened to a completely different podcast, but somebody said that the developers who made the port don't work for WB anymore. Like that.
That's what I think, but I'm not sure. But that's
gone.
my theory.
If that's the case, it's very, very unfortunate.
it
It's
just,
really painful.
either way, it just sucks. But I don't want to turn this into fuck WB and fuck NRS. Like, that's not what I want to do.
To say that the PC version is the least of my problems.
I don't want to bash them at this point. I feel like we went through a whole big negativity and down cycle, and we've done that, and now it's just like there's nothing we can change. It's the same reason why I don't want to complain about the roster anymore. It's just not changeable at this rate. So let's just focus on the good aspects. But it sucks. It sucks, yeah.
I believe it's vital that they don't improve the roster. It's important they don't add any good characters anymore. Because
Are
that's
you
just
listening to yourself?
Well, it's too late at this
point. Pay the
point.
price, though. I mean, and historically, I think I'm onto something. If we put Fujin in the game now, there is no chance he's an MK11. None. You have screwed any possibility. Look what happened to Street Fighter 4. Look at all the cool characters they added at the end. Gone. None of them are in Street Fighter 5. None.
Yet.
So I think we're onto something by keeping Fujin out now. If he was going to be in the game, the window's passed. I think if we want quality Fujin, we need to just kind of, count our losses and wait for MK11. And
Cross your fingers.
to be in there.
Fujin.
Hope.
I think the inherent appeal of Fujin is his potential role in the story anyway.
Right, yeah.
I don't think people who want Fujin in the game are necessarily like clamoring for a combination of tornadoes and Kung Lao moves. They want somebody who can replace Raiden because we once again have Dark Raiden, and that means he can't, be the protector of Earth for much longer.
And there is something to be said about being in the initial roster rather than, ninth DLC character
for one
released.
Thing, it means you get to be in story mode for more than one scene usually.
But beyond that, it's just like at this point we're getting MKXL, guys. This is it. This is it. You don't release a Ultimate Edition with everything included and then being like, well, we're going to have more. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. The idea of the Ultimate Edition is so people can buy it and not have to download anything from the internet and not have to, it's all on disc, and so people don't have to go downloading things or spending additional money. That defeats the purpose. It is the Ultimate Edition. It's the XL. It's the same as the Complete Edition. It's all the same, just different name for it.
I agree with all of that. I just don't think that we shouldn't have any more good characters in a fighting game is a very, very bad sentence. That's my only point.
Yeah, it needs context. It definitely needs qualification.
The train is gone. Let's accept it. And
So
then
I guess
hope
he's gone
for-
with the wind is what you're trying to get across.
Oh,
Sure,
yeah.
sure.
I see what you did there.
But yes,
I want
I
to
liked
actually
it.
just interject from a gameplay perspective that it probably would be much easier to put him in next time, because what is Fujin but kind of a bastard hybridization of Ermac and Kung Lao, and I don't know how much I see either of those guys coming back next time.
And do we really want to spend more money on this fucking game?
No,
That was my next rant. Was like the only thing I feel like ranting about is the cost of everything. All the DLC combined at this rate is $50. And yes, it's nice that they made Combat Pack 2 $20 instead of 30. But at the end of the day, it's still $50. That is $10 shy of the total cost of the game originally. You're paying $50 for like an eighth of the content. At the end of the day, if they can make a game for $60 and have all the scripting that goes into it, all the balancing, 24 characters, 25 characters, all the fatalities, everything that's included, everyone has an alternate outfit, the whole story mode, all the online content, all the additional modes, the crypt, etc. If they can combine all that for $60, if they're justifying the $60 cost for putting out the game and they're getting their money back, for $50 to get an eighth of that content, and that's somehow justifiable, I have no problem personally paying like $5 for a character. Yes, you're gonna get plenty of, if you actually commit to that character, you're gonna get plenty of, your hours and your time out of that character to make it worth it. But at the end of the day, it should not be $5. At the end of the day, your DLC should not end up being almost as much as your game when you're getting an eighth of the content with the arena and everything combined. Because there's already 13 arenas or 12 arenas in the game. So another arena to me still doesn't add up to, if you add up all the skins, one arena and 8 characters, it does not equal $50. No matter how you slice it, it should be 30. It should be half of the game at most, in my opinion, everything together. At most. But that's my own personal rant.
Well,
and I'm not even
like
liking...
25? I thought it was $25 for all 8 characters if you haven't purchased them already.
I don't know. I don't know what the XL package is. I'm just saying if you bought the Combat Pack separately, it has been $50 total. So if you bought,
okay, yeah,
if you bought,
okay,
yeah,
I see what you're saying. Now.
that's my point. Is if you bought the game, then you bought Combat Pack 1, then you bought Combat Pack 2, it's going to be like, unless we're all in the same boat here. We all got Combat Pack 1 and the initial game. If we decide to get Combat Pack 2 and not upgrade to XL, which would be even more money, it's going to be $50 total for DLC. And that to me
what
is
the single character downloads cost, like
$5.
$4.99?
Yeah, $5.
Okay, well then for $10 I'll get everything I care about.
And that's fine. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm speaking overall as their pricing is not what it should be. They're clearly putting these things out because this is, at the end of the day, what most characters go for in fighting games, if I'm correct. I'm sure Street Fighter it's the same. I'm sure in Tekken or any other.
Well, Street Fighter 5 is free. You can unlock everything in game. You don't have to buy anything.
That's going to be so nice.
Oh, it's gonna be great, especially with Alex as the first character.
How much are they releasing Killer Instinct characters for?
It's $20 for the whole season.
Which is how many characters? Curious.
About 8.
Okay, and that's way less than
That's
$20 for 4 characters.
Yeah,
Not looking good.
So that's my point. Is at
And
the end
every
of the
character
day,
comes with a stage.
exactly. Well, there you go. See, there. That's my point, though. Is that it's not appropriately priced. At the end of the day, there's still it's not a bad deal when you piece it out, and if you're only getting some of it. But if you want everything,
Well,
you're going to.
overpriced DLC is rapidly becoming a trademark of WB games.
Sure. I'd never buy any of the season pass for the Arkham games or anything like that because it's just so expensive. I can't justify paying almost near the cost of the game for a bunch of add-on stuff that doesn't even remotely come to a fraction of what the actual game offered to begin with. Like I said, if they justify the cost of $60 with all the time that they put in effort in the resources they put into it and what they're delivering to you, which I think MKX was definitely worth $60. But don't tell me an eighth of the content's worth $50. That doesn't make any sense in any form or fashion. That's like going to McDonald's, getting a value meal, and then you say, "Oh, I just want like 3 French fries. Oh, that'll be $4." That's essentially the same damn thing. It's like you're getting a fraction of your meal, and you're paying a ridiculous amount in return. To me, I don't get that, and I don't get that reasoning. And I also think MKXL should be cheaper, and MKXL should be $40 max, and I think the base game should be dropped down to 20, 25 at this rate.
Maybe they're trying to avoid the Burger King effect. Yeah, that must be it. This one time I went into a Burger King and they were having like their little tiny mini burgers for like $1, and like I paid one. So at the same time, I felt like I was getting exactly what I paid for, but it was so very little.
Yeah.
So very, very little.
So it's just, I don't know. That's my only rant that I don't see a lot of people ranting about. Adam Wilson on our Facebook page rants about the fact that they're dropping the price of things and letting people get things for cheaper, but I'm the anti that. I think everything should be cheaper. And if you're going to put out a complete edition, make it cheaper. It shouldn't be $60, it should be $40. But in their mind, they're like, we're taking $90 worth of value and we're making it $60. And it's like, yes, but most times when you put out a complete edition, most people already have all this stuff for the most part. And if I want to complete it, like if it was like $30 or $40, I was going to trade in my PS4 copy, which I never really play, get $20 back from GameStop, because I think it said it was like $18 to $20 in return, and then I would have went and got I would have paid an additional $20 just to get the complete edition, so it's all on disc. But that's not happening. It's $60, so it's just not even worth it at this point to me.
I did want to give him some applause, though. I think making all 8 DLC characters in costumes for $25 is kind of nice. I think that's pretty tight.
Is that an accurate price?
I believe
Are you
so,
sure?
yes. I think
I'd like
positive.
to see you double check that.
All right, one second.
Before we give them that praise.
See.
But that's my only problem. I think everything they put out is quality. I have no problem with the quality of DLC. The characters are great. I wish they had an additional attire, because I remember they used to always say, all the DLC characters have everything the in-game characters have. That's something they boasted about, and none of them have a secondary attire. And once again, if you're charging us as much as you're charging, you should at least have everything there. You should have a secondary attire. But that's neither here nor there, I guess. But they get away with that, I suppose. And they did with MK9 as well, and they didn't even have voices for the characters in that case. But yeah, I would like to see you double check that, because I could have sworn.
Got it. The XL pack, which you can download, is going to be $24.99. That's going to have all 8 characters.
All 8 characters, okay.
And if you want to buy Combat Pack 2 by itself, that's $19.99. So I think that's reasonable. I think they are overpricing the Ultimate Edition, but I think this makes you feel better about it. I mean, here's the problem with it. Because anyone who'd want to buy the Combat Pack 2 probably already has Combat Pack 1.
Yeah.
So it's not super applicable to anyone I know personally.
Right.
But it's kind of nice.
No, it's nice. Yeah, I have no problem with late adopters getting a better deal than I got when I first bought the game. That's kind of how everything works. That's how all electronics work. That's how everything works. Things get cheaper as they get older, and then new sales come up because they want more people to buy their product. They figure everyone that was going to buy it already has bought it, so now they're going to lower the price more and more and more until they find that fine line where they start getting the people that were like, they were hesitant before, but now they're going to start picking it up because it's cheaper. And that's perfectly okay. That means more people playing the game, which is good for all of us that want to still play the game. And it's just good to see more people try the game. I have no problem if somebody pays $30 and I paid $90. That means nothing to me. My big problem is, in the first place, the DLC was overpriced. That's all I'm saying. And that's not changing for any of us.
Well, I feel like we all already talked, when the game came out, we all felt Combat Pack 1 was at least $10 too much.
Right. But anyways, that's all I had to really rant on that. And so...
Well, I have a rant and sort of a little bit of a tangent on the PC thing as well. My rant is that Sub-Zero's mask has looked like shit in-game for a very long time. And they finally fixed it, but just for the XL box art. I'm like, why the fuck can't it look like that in-game? I mean,
It's a simple
clearly they
fix,
knew it
too.
looked bad, so they fixed it.
Right.
But it doesn't look like that in game.
It's
That
a
drives me
simple.
nuts.
It's a simple fix too. I mean, that's literally just going into the game's visual files or whatever you want to call it, graphic files, and coloring in that part blue. That's not.
I'll like hold start and like up and like select and like mouse, and I'll just do all that shit. Just let me have a good looking mask, damn it. That's all I'm asking for. Oh man. The other thing I was going to say is, I do give a lot of praise to the PC crowd for doing something about it. I was watching the Leatherface stream today, and like 45% of the comments were just PC blow-ups, and I think that's good. If you're tired of WB shit, this is, I'm glad people are doing something about it. I feel like we took No Fujin laying down. I don't want people to take this laying down. If you gave them money and you got shit in return without any sort of transparency, I think that's the way to go. Voice your opinion. Don't take this laying down.
Pour one out for my homies. I feel your pain, but at a very comfortable, unaffected distance. This does suck. Rant on.
Yeah, I don't feel any pain because it doesn't affect me, but I still don't like WB. I don't want to see stuff like this in the future. And I think fighting games on PC are pretty important right now. For example, if you want Injustice on PC, we kind of want to see sales be okay. We want to see sales be decent. We don't want to see them plummet or turn to shit just because they can't make a good port, Now, it may be too late for that. Injustice PC is either going to be done really well or it won't happen at all. I think those are equally possible.
Well, here's the terrifying thing. It's looking an awful lot like... Does WB Games have any new games coming out anytime soon?
Sure,
because
they do,
Injustice could be the very next thing they attempt to port, which means it'll either work or it'll be a repeat of what we've already seen so many times.
I think they have Lego Star Wars coming out or something like that.
Yeah, they said they were going to announce a new game featuring two of their biggest properties. And like TYM was like, Mortal Kombat versus DC, but no, it turned out to be some Lego shit.
The hell was that?
I didn't even know WB owned Lego.
Yep. They own a lot, so I don't know if
buy
they
a game nowadays. You're giving them money. Odds are.
Well, I mean, it's not even just games. They own a hell of a lot. They own DC, so that's a hell of a lot, and they own Looney Tunes and a lot of other cartoon franchises like that. They own a lot of movie franchises, so
You probably give them money at least once a week and not even realize it.
And I have no problem with WB. I really don't. As a company, yes, they do things that rub me the wrong way, but I don't know. I grew up on WB. It's kind of like they have a lot of things that I have enjoyed over the years, but from superheroes to Looney Tunes and all that kind of stuff, I like a lot of their properties. And yes, they clearly make some bad decisions, as all companies do, but and I'm not defending anything that they do. It's just I don't see them as any more evil than certain other big name corporations like Disney or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think they're all...
I think that they're all destined to become ultra tech in the future anyway. So
it's either they're
save your hate.
Yeah, there's kind of an OCP feeling I get from big corporations anymore, where like I lament the fact that Mortal Kombat is owned by WB just because it means now that it's owned by like a multinational conglomerate, it's always going to be this watered down creation by committee thing. The games and the movies, it doesn't matter. It's all, they're going to make it as mass audience as possible. Whereas back in the Midway days, it was sort of the product of, it was like a small business. It was like one guy could be responsible for the entire story. And a story is better when it's written by one guy with vision than by five guys who are their work for hire.
See, but I don't know how much how much WB gets their hands dirty in what NRS are doing. Yeah, sure, they probably...
I'm not saying they're deliberately going in and like going, well, we own this now, so you got to do this, this, and this. I'm just saying that's automatically exactly by the nature of being owned by a big company, you have a bigger staff.
Right.
And a bigger staff means it's more diluted.
One of the devs implicitly just said on Twitter that WB is basically responsible for shoving guest characters in the game, or certain ones anyway.
Sure, and I can believe that. I guess my point was, are they really saying, here's how your story's gonna go? It's like, I don't see them. The guest characters make sense because they have a lot to gain from the guest characters. But let's also not take out the fact that Ed Boon is a big fan of these horror characters too. So I don't want to sit there and point fingers 100% one way or the other when it comes to like Alien, Predator, Jason, and Leatherface. Because I think, yes, while they do hear the fan demand for more MK specific characters, I think they genuinely do enjoy having these characters part of their franchise. I really do. But yes, WB probably puts more pressure on them, obviously, because they have a lot to gain from it, and I don't necessarily disagree with it to an extent. I think 4 characters, yes, that's asinine, but I have no problem with 1 or 2 characters being guest characters purely for that cross promotion, as long as there's something that's going to bring in a lot of fans and potentially put more eyes on MK and draw more attention to the franchise, which they do. So that's cool, and they get some more money and great. But I guess my point was, I don't think WB's telling NRS how they need to make their Mortal Kombat story go. I feel like that's still all NRS, because WB has nothing to gain from them telling. It's not like we see Predator and Jason popping up in their story. You know, that's just not happening. I think the reason why we get a poor story is strictly 100%. They try and force it around the chapter system, and that's just stupid. It just doesn't work.
I still think it's because there's more guys on the staff.
Sure.
And that's a product of, the team got bigger because they've got more money to throw around. I think Mortal Kombat, it was less successful when it was a smaller project, but I think it was more creatively sound.
I don't know if that would have changed. I think that's just the next gen.
Less successful is also very relative.
All AAA titles are like that, and that's sort of, again, what I'm lamenting, I guess, is that Mortal Kombat is a AAA title which has upsides and downsides. You do get a more polished product, you get a better game, but you don't get as good a story.
But that could be the writers just aren't very good. That could be, like I said, I don't know. WB gives them a good budget, but I don't necessarily think that's ever a bad thing in this case. And yeah, they might be like, well, we can hire more people, but at the end of the day, that's still NRS's. That's up to them how good their own story is. We've seen Arkham Knight be really good. We've seen Arkham City be really good. We've seen Arkham Asylum really good, and that never changed because they have good writers and they're not trying to shoehorn it into like a chapter system, which just doesn't work. Like I strongly believe if they just did a 2-hour cinematic movie and didn't worry so much about making you play all these different characters, everyone with the same number of fights, and most of them are good characters, so the bad guys are constantly losing. It just doesn't work when you're following this character here, following this character. It's like, that's not good storytelling. It's really not. And I think they're trying so desperately hard to tell a story in that environment that it's creatively stifling for their own writers for that very reason. And I don't think 5 writers or 1 writer is really going to change much of that. It just depends on how good they are as writers, and clearly they're not succeeding.
It's hard for me to even respond because I'm so disconnected from the story these days. Like I want Havoc in the next game so I can do like 35% combos with him, and I really don't care what he does in the story anymore. I really just want to play as the character and see them redesigned. The story, I think, I always said it was because of MK9. It really disenchanted me, but I don't even know if that's true anymore. I think it's just a natural progression of doing the tournament thing.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you.
I wanted you guys all to get really good, really high level at MKX, because I knew that when the next one came around, you'd be 10 times more excited. Like, that's what happened to me. When I started doing the tournament thing, and with Street Fighter 4, I was so pumped for MK9. And the same was true with MKX, because it's not just, is the game going to be good? It's just, is my character going to be good? Is my backup character going to be good? What kind of style am I going to have to play? Am I going to have good matchups, bad matchups? Am I going to get blown up by zoning? All that stuff starts to. That's the true excitement for me now, and I do want a good story. A good story is fantastic. Everyone wins, but
see, I'm exactly on the opposite side of the spectrum. I lead a really ridiculously busy life, and I don't have time to sit there and like play a bunch of angry little 13-year-olds tossing cuss words left and right on the internet. I don't have the patience for that shit. I don't like. I work a 9 to 5 job. I got responsibilities. I barely have 2 hours a week to play video games. I want to be good. I would love to be good, but at the end of the day, a lot of the FGC is just a bunch of assholes who I'd really rather not even bother fraternizing with.
There's a lot of them
don't
out there.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
can't
don't like.
disagree
I
with
don't
that.
like. I don't like human contact for the.
No, I
the
agree with
list of
you. I
problems
agree
is
with you.
endless.
I've never been
I've-
into the competitive scene for that
I've
very
always-
reason.
I've always loved MK's story first and foremost. You know, that's why I got into fighting games. When I was like 10 years old, I didn't give a shit if Ryu could do a 2-in-1 into a fireball. Whatever. I wanted to see where he was going, who he was going to fight next, why he wanted to be there, who he'd meet. That's the shit that always interests me. A good story, above and beyond.
Well, that's
Started like writing the chronology again. I'm fucking hyped up about MK's story now because X righted a lot of the wrongs that, or at least made up for a lot of them, that 9 perpetuated.
well, we come from different spots because I don't disagree. I come from a different place than both of you, and I'm sure Razor would agree with the story as being his main thing with Shadowloo. But for me, it's not about the gameplay or the story. Well, I mean, it's little bits of both of those, but the main thing for me is characters, and that's why the roster hit me as hard as it did. Is because I like just seeing these characters. These are characters. Everything I follow is about characters. That's why I like superheroes so much. Is there's great characters. I like Walking Dead for the characters. I like wrestling not because their fighting's real or fake or blah blah blah. I like it for the characters. I like it because I like to resonate with the characters. I like to follow characters and see their progression and see what they do and see them grow and go along story arcs, etc. I like to see the upgrade. That's why Street Fighter doesn't really appeal to me, is because the characters never really change, in my opinion, and that's coming from a completely I don't know anything about Street Fighter other than I've played my fair share of it back in the day, and I played Street Fighter 4 for a bit, etc. But I don't know anything about the story of the characters. I don't know. All I know is the characters always look the same. They have the same moves for the most part. Maybe they get some upgrades and some changes, of course, as the games go on, but nothing much changes. But with MK, the characters' designs always change. They get more moves. They find new ways to use their powers, etc., etc. They're doing new things in the story. That's why I'm always excited. I'm excited. The reason why I wanted Cyrax in this game is because I wanted to see what Cyrax was doing. I wanted to see his new look. I wanted to see his new design. That's why I can't agree on they're automated, so I'm okay with seeing them like. That makes sense. Logically, yes, you're 100% correct that they should look the same. But to me, I love individuality and I like to see variety. Same way with the ninjas, I like to see them all look completely different. Obviously, that's a different case because they're not coming off an assembly line. But I like the characters. I love the characters. I like 90% of the characters in the MK franchise. There's a reason why when we make like top 10, 20 lists of our favorite characters or our characters that we want to see, and Temp is like, I'm having a hard time picking 5 or 10, and I'm like, man, I'm having a hard time narrowing it down to 20, is because I like a lot of the characters in the things I follow. That's just what I'm all about. So for me, going into the next game, once again, it's going to be all about the characters. How's Ermac going to look in this game? How's he going to play? How's that? It's all about just the characters. So that's why I get fascinated by that. And that's kind of what draws me into the game time after time. And that's why I can take a bad story or not need to get super into the gameplay, is because at the end of the day, it's like, I love these characters. So that's what's going to keep me coming back. And that's why the one thing that would have potentially pushed me away from this franchise was when there's rumors way back when, after Armageddon, them completely wiping the slate clean, going with an all-new cast other than Sub-Zero and Scorpion, and have it take place in the future, but with an all-new cast. I was like, no, I like these characters too much. That's why when we were talking about the roster, I'm like, I only want to see 4 new people because I love the characters that I love already. I'm invested in these characters. I want to see them return. That's why I made such a big deal about the roster. But anyways, I just went on a long tangent.
No, I mean, I feel, and make no mistake, the only reason I play MKX competitively is the characters. Like, the story is water under the bridge, but the characters have to be good, and I still have to have an attachment to them, on a personal level. Like, if it was just random stick figures with all the same properties, I would not be playing MKX right now.
Right.
There does need to be some attachment. That can never change, but
it's
that's easy in my opinion, you know?
It's just percentages for all of us. We all have different. All of these factor into why all of us love the game and get excited for it and follow it. I'm sure it's just different people have different percentage. You're more gameplay percentage, and then maybe characters, then story. I'm characters, then gameplay, then story. Shadowloo's story, characters, then gameplay, I'm sure. And Razor's probably the same, I would imagine.
Let me put it this way. Sub-Zero stabbing you 18 times and then hitting you with a hammer tells its own story to me. That's the story I'm into, is getting hit with Sub-Zero's hammer. That to me is like, this is a character who is a cryomancer. He can create ice and he can beat up horrible people with hammers, you know, made of cryo powers. That's cool to me, you know? And the fact that it's rooted into a lore is important. That can never change, but...
Right.
Like, if Sub-Zero has a good relationship with, you know, Jackie Briggs, I'm not really... Yeah, I'm over that. Although that would be cool, you know, if there was, like, a Jackie Sub-Zero team-up that was actually really relevant. Sure, you know, if Ermac and Kenshi started fist bumping again, I'd be
I'm glad you said bumping after that. I'd be a little scared.
I was going to say, what
though,
fist activities can
like,
you do? And I was like, oh.
We are many fists in your ass. What were you saying, Shadow?
You know what else though? You know what I can't get into FGC for? It's just the sheer corporate environment of it nowadays.
That's very new, though. That's
I scroll through articles on Shoryuken and I'm like, sponsorship deals. Oh, look, they're splitting the pot. I feel like I should be watching NASCAR or some shit.
Yeah, there is
strange
kind of a...
alien world to me that I don't want any part of.
That is a very recent turn. It hasn't been like that up until now, really. Before, it was very grassroots. And honestly, it is still very grassroots. It's just everything up front is very esports, which one day I'll go into more in depth. I'll spare you guys that for now. But I see what you're saying. I do think it's important to segregate the online trolls from the offline pros. Like, the offline pro community is really cool. They're not whiny. I mean, sometimes they whine, but they're more so mature, more so sociable. It's the lag exploiting Aaron Black players who just throw sandballs online and teabag you when they lose. Like, it's horrible. It's like trying to swim towards somebody and then getting shot in the face with like a soccer ball every time you get within 5 feet and having to start all over. I hate lag exploitation online, which is a shame because I love zoning. I think zoning is such an interesting play style.
I'll also mention that
it's hell.
I have never been able to fully acclimate to the notion of having to play someone in fighting games online and dealing with lag as a factor. Motherfucker, I grew up in the arcades. This shit is weak sauce.
Well, I got good news for you,
one-on-one, man-to-man, just like my daddy always taught me.
Well, you're in luck, sir, because I played the beta, and it's really good. Like, it's... Execution-wise, it's a mirror experience.
It's pretty smooth. It is pretty smooth. I get it. It's not perfect, but it's definitely smooth. I wasn't dropping my combos, that's for sure. So that's
well, definitely... you guys speak for yourselves. Mine was literally perfect. Every once in a while, I got a little rollback. It did not affect the footsie game. It did not affect my execution. It pretty much was offline.
Right. That's what I was saying. Is my combos were hitting 9 times out of 10, whereas online normally I drop combos 9 times out of 10 because of the lag. But no, to follow up on everything you guys are saying with the fighting game community, since we're talking about it, here's my issue with the fighting game community. It's not even so much the attitudes can rub me the wrong way, how like douchey some people can be, and it doesn't speak to everybody. There's plenty of competitive players that have been cool people, but it's just it's very douchey and trolly and just kind of rub it in people's face, and I don't ever like to get that serious with it. But the reason why, and it same goes for like Halo and Mortal Kombat both, because they both have very, very popular competitive scenes, fighting games and shooters, specifically Halo, because they have the whole MLG and all that bullshit. The reason why I can never get into it is because, to me, there is a point where you're overanalyzing a game, picking it apart to a degree, that it makes it no longer fun to me. I don't want to know the frame data. I don't want to know, just like in shooters in Halo, they analyze the time to kill for each weapon, and they find which weapon kills the fastest. And it's just like, at that point, when you're finding out the best moves, what the best startup frames are, what the best this is, that you're not even using half your moves. You're just going to the same combo over and over and over because you know it's the best combo that's going to give you the best percentage. So you're ignoring most of the special moves. You're ignoring most of the normals, etc., and just the overall fun of the guessing games and the strategy and the timing that just, casual play can lead to. It's just like you're getting to a point where you're doing the same combo over and over and over, or in Halo you're using the same gun over. You're at that point, it's like it becomes all about winning and less about having fun. And
To some people in the fighting community, I'll submit that those two terms are actually synonymous. But I
Right.
do actually completely agree with you. And the best example of this I find is the wonderful classic Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which has a roster of nearly 60 characters, all of which are composed of Doctor Doom, Sentinel, Storm, and Magneto.
Exactly, and that overanalyzing bothers me. It really does. That's why there's a huge kind of like roadblock for me with getting into the tournament scene, is because at that point, and this is not judging anybody else. If you're into the frame data and you're into analyzing something so much that you only want the best, you only ever want to use the best, and you only want to learn the best because you're not having fun unless you can just kick somebody's ass. It's like, to me, that takes away the charm of the game. I don't want to know all the data because I just want to have fun. I want to take my katana, so to speak, against Shadowloo's Melina and have the same level of knowledge. Just because somebody takes their time and learns all the frame data and they're like, don't use that move sucks, use this move. This move's actually good. This move's going to get, 90% of the time you're going to win your exchanges. You're going to win your pokes and all that. It's like, I just want to play. And then when I kick somebody else's ass, I want them to just try harder to get better, quicker on their feet and learn a little bit more and be able to go combo a little bit harder. But it's just like, it's like with Katana. I'm doing the same combos over and over and over. You want to know why? Because that's the only way to win. Because I'm in a pool of sharks fighting Redman, Temp, and Django. I am in a literal pool of sharks trying to succeed because although only winning and playing only to win isn't fun for me, I also don't enjoy just getting my ass kicked over and over and getting comboed for half my life bar over and over. So I have to step up just to do that, but that's not necessarily what I have fun doing. I have the most fun not playing against others, you guys online, which I do have a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. It's a different kind of fun, but I have the most fun playing against my friend who doesn't combo me for 30%. At most he does like 12%. And I do 12% against him. Because when I face him, I don't do my 30% combos because that's no fun against him.
Which is why you should not sell your PS4 copy, because I am out of practice. And I got bodied today at a work tournament to some basic Devora shit. I have fallen off. We should fight sometime.
But it's just a fun charm of just dodging fireballs and trying to get in and just doing that fun thing, but not having to worry about what is best. Like, I don't need to know the 32% combos when I'm fighting just for fun. And there is fun, and there's a level of competition when you fight just for fun too. Casual play has this stink, like, oh, those people don't know what the hell they're doing. They suck at the game. They can't combo. They're awful. It's like, but have you ever just played just to have fun and just take the very basic level knowledge of a game and just enjoy it and play it for what it is and not try and look under the hood on everything? Because like I said, there is to me a point where you're over analyzing a game, which it's made for, and that's fine, but just that's not for everybody. And for me personally, I'm never going to take a look at all the frame data. I don't even look at the frame data. Temp tells me the frame data to help me out, and that's cool. That's good. But at the same time, it's just like, I just kind of want to have fun and play. It's like, I just enjoy playing. Like, if my ideal scenario would be to take Temp, go on MK, go on Injustice, and not look up any combos, not look at any frame data, and just have us play back and forth, back and forth. If we learn cool combo techniques and combo strings on our own, just from playing each other, cool, great, that's fun. That's all part of the game. But it's kind of like not looking at walkthroughs for a game, not looking at cheat codes and this and that and strategy guides. It's like, just take it for what it is and have fun with it. You can compete with each other. It only gets ruined for one of the people when one of the person decides to go to the next level and look at everything under the hood, find out all the techniques, because the other person is just left in the dark, and the only way they're going to stand a chance is if they do the same thing too. And to me, that's where there's a separation. That's where I start to lose interest in things, because I'll never be able to compete at that level. I just
like to find a nice parity. I learned myself a couple of 30% combos, learned what 1 or 2 safe strings, and then yeah, that's good enough for me. I don't care enough to learn more than that.
And
it's all a game.
Real quick before Temp says what he's going to say is one thing to follow up on that quick statement. It's like, Temp's like, you got to learn to just throw those fans over and over. And it's like, don't feel bad for throwing your fans over and over. And it's like, dude, when I grew up, throwing like, if you threw 2 fireballs in a row, you are a cheap motherfucker. Like that. That's what I grew up with. If you kept doing the same,
I'm not saying you're not cheap when you're doing it. I'm telling you to be cheap.
But I don't. But that's against everything I'm about. I don't want to fuck over my opponent by continually throwing fan, because I've faced Noob Zybot online and had Shadow Clone charge, Shadow Clone charge, Shadow Clone charge, Shadow Clone. It's like, that's not fun to me. It's not fun just trying to win. It's fun to me just having a gentleman's game of back and forth and trying to outmaneuver the other person. It's not fun.
I feel like honor is something that I developed over time, because back in the MK2 days, I didn't feel bad at all for finding the right distance and just punch,
Well,
over and over.
Well, we're the opposite then, because like I always was against doing that, because that's just people I played with that just didn't fly, and I hated it happening to me too. I would get pissed off and annoyed. And it's like that's no fun. But when you play with competitive people, they're like, yeah, do that over and over. If I can't get around it, that's my fault. And it's like, I understand that. I'm not even necessarily disagreeing with that. It's just, to me, there's just something lost there that it's just not my style of play. I can adapt to anything, but
I get bored throwing the same thing over and over again now is what it is for me. But
right, no, I understand. I completely agree with you. I only throw fans over and over online. It's because that's what I have to do at this point. I'm swimming with sharks, so if I have to pull hair, scratch, claw, and bite, then I literally have to, because I'm playing with people that are better than me.
I was doing it back in MK2, because I'm like, look, there's only so many ways to be good at this game. I gotta kind of do what I gotta do.
I do believe that some characters are meant to be played that way, though. Noob Saibot and MK9 being a pretty shining example of that.
Yeah, there's certain characters, yeah.
I kind of generally do believe in doing anything that's within your capabilities to do, if it does mean winning. I understand that. I just don't care enough to really learn to be the best. So, nice little halfway point for me. That's all I've got to say.
Anyways, Temp, I'm sure you have a lot of rebuttal points.
I have a lot to say.
Just quickly cut in, folks, for the benefit of viewers who might be expecting something. Are we going to talk about Leatherface today at all?
We will talk about Leatherface. Let's just hear what we just pretty much said. Everything Temp is about is like not what we enjoy, so I at least want to give him a chance to explain why.
Well, I don't know. I didn't really weigh in much there. I don't want to say that like I don't like competitive fighting. I'm just not really capable of it. I mean, there's a certain biological level where the speed from brain to fingers isn't really up to snuff with a lot of people.
No, I agree. I'm the same way.
I do the best I can do, but this is why, like, I consider myself lucky that there's a guy like Johnny in MK9, that there's a guy like Lou in MKX, that I can just hit the same button and get a 4-hit string out of it.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't find that guy in Injustice, which is why I don't enjoy playing Injustice.
I don't enjoy playing
and
Injustice.
Like, so every new fighting game I run into, I'm all like, well, I'd like to be good at this, but
Well, this will be a good opportunity to plug our Injustice stream we want to do pretty soon, so that's going to be going up in a little while, I'm sure.
It's like there's this fucking conspiracy to keep me from playing any one of you motherfuckers. Let's play MKX when Shad's not around on a system he doesn't own.
Bro, you're the only one without an Xbox. That is not our fault.
Worse, we were playing on PS4 while you're not home.
I think that this has actually happened. I'm pretty sure you would. There's a conspiracy. Y'all fear my piercing Melina. That's all that's going on here.
Shadowlo. You're the odd man out. It's not our fault. Temp and I both I want to make this abundantly clear. Temp and I both bought a second copy of the game at full value just so we could play with you and anybody else that wanted to play on PS4. Just for that reason. And it
down
didn't.
later. If you want to play,
I
I'd love
sit
to
here.
play Shadowloo.
And it
I
just didn't.
enjoy playing you later.
All right, let's do it right after this cast. Let's play some MKX.
Whoa! What happened to Injustice? What happened here?
Okay, after we play Injustice, we'll play MKX with Shadow.
Well,
It's 11
you guys
p.m.,
should
guys. I've
probably
only got so much
play on
time.
PS4 because I'm not going to be able to. I got to go to bed.
Okay, you know what? You guys play your Injustice. It's getting late for me anyways. When are you next available, Tim? When do we do this?
Tomorrow. I will play you tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yes.
Tomorrow?
Yes,
All right.
He's like, that's no
Tomorrow
good
it
for
is.
me. That's no good.
No. Oh, you think I'm right?
We're gonna make this happen.
No.
We're gonna make this happen. Just name a day. Any day next week. Ooh, schedule's a little full next week.
Actually, for real, I do have an occasion at 7:30 to question mark. So how late are you good for, Shadowloo? What's your schedule?
Oh,
We can discuss this off air, by the way.
Okay, yeah.
It's okay if we wait.
cracking my knuckles. I'm free. I'll be waiting.
All right. Anyways, Tim,
Yes, well, I did have a
Rebuttal.
lot to say
Rebuttal.
about all the interesting things that you guys have said. And let's start with frame data. A lot of pro players do not invest a whole lot of time in frame data. I remember seeing a video back in 2009 of Alex Vice saying he doesn't even give a shit about frame data. He doesn't even bother with it. Frame data is what you use as a shortcut, but everything you can learn by using frame data, you can do just by trial and error online or in a match or offline. It's all auxiliary. You don't technically need to do any of that. It's all extra. A lot of stuff you learn by frame data, you already know Cyborg just by playing the game. You know your down one's going to stuff a lot of dumb shit. You know that if you throw a fan in someone's face and they block it, you're probably at a disadvantage.
I don't
things
know
like
that.
that are just stuff you pull over time. Everything you can learn through frame data, you can learn by playing the game, just playing the game. It's definitely not a requirement, but I feel like all you guys, well, I've only played Shadow in the beginning, and honestly, he was blowing up my Sub-Zero when I was playing him. So, but everyone else has improved so much since we started playing. Cyborg, you are so much better. Razor, your spacing has gotten a lot better. I mean, Shadow blew me up, but I'm sure he's gotten a lot better
keep
too.
complimenting me.
Yeah. That's what I've done. Yeah.
You sort of kind of brutality me with Melina, and that's okay. That's what you should do. You were doing it right. That's how you play the game. That's the first thing. The second thing is it's not a 50% divide. There's different tiers. Everyone's in their own tier. If I can beat you guys, that doesn't mean I can beat Pig of the Hut. I am in my own tier list. Me and Redman went back and forth, but I think overall he took more matches than me during the stream. Django and me go back and forth, and that's a matchup I struggle with. It's not a black or white thing. You're constantly getting better. It's like exercising. Exercise is not a black and white thing. Some days you can lift 70 pounds, other days you can lift 120, but it's not a hard divide between strong and weak people. It's a journey. You take it little by little. You don't have to make the choice to be a good player. It's just going to happen. Your subconscious is going to do 80% of the work. Now, if you want to learn frame data, it could help, and if you do decide to do it, it's going to take at max maybe like 20 minutes. 20 minutes of learning frame data, and that'll make your game a little better. A lot better, probably. But I don't think it's a requirement. If you have fun playing the game, then playing the game is going to make you better. Because it's all about spacing and Yomi and decision making. That's what fighting games are at the end of the day, and you guys all got that. No matter how much frame data you learn, it's not going to make you better at punishing. Your reactions aren't going to get better. That all comes from playing the game. One thing I would tell people if they want to get better at fighting games is to watch tournament footage, which I would do anyway. I just enjoy watching it, which I know you guys probably aren't as hyped because you don't know the players, you aren't quite as invested as in who wins and who loses, but I don't think you need to do it. I think it's all auxiliary. I think you can be an awesome player without bothering with any of that shit. And you guys are already getting so much better, and you've already done part of it. You've already optimized your damage, all that's left for me to do is just to be like Mick and tell you, when to throw a fan, when to not throw an EX fan. But I love doing that shit. That's a blast for me.
That's part of my problem, though, is I don't like seeing the same combo over and over, be it against me or doing the same combo over and over. And that's kind of what you have to do, because let's take it back to Smoke and MK9. You did the same combo over and over and over. The smoke, smoke, smoke. The Sub-Zero is always the same combo over and over and over. The stabby, stab, stab, hammer, hammer type thing. It's like... And then my Katana combo, I have like 2 different starters for it, but it's the same thing. It's, you know, fans, jump, fan, kick, kick, fan, kick, kick, jump on you. It's like it ends the same way every single time, and that's kind of my point. It's like, that's, to me, that's boring, but that's the game. At the end of the day, there's always going to be 1 or 2 combos that are absolutely above and beyond the rest, and if you want to win, you're going to hit those combos.
You just got to put it in perspective, you know? Yeah, sure, I've seen the same smoke combo probably tens of thousands of times at this point. But you know what? Doing that combo after someone makes a bad decision is the greatest feeling in the world to me, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. I think, to some extent, when me or Django make a bad decision and you blow us the fuck up with your bread and butter combo, doesn't that feel a little cool? Isn't that fun, right?
It's incredibly nerve-wracking, and I just want to vomit.
Well, like, yeah, I didn't drop that shit. I didn't drop.
I'm not saying it's not gratifying. I enjoy hitting decent combos. I feel accomplished. I feel like I'm feeling accomplished. No, I feel good. Like I didn't drop it and blah blah blah. But at the same time, it still doesn't change the fact that essentially the game comes down to 2 combos: one on my end, one on your end. Who's going to get comboed and who's going to get, 60% of their life bar taken from those combos. And some people's combos are better than others. With Katana, at best I get, 30%? At Sub-Zero, at your best, you're getting 42% or whatever it was, 35 or I can't remember, but...
Not always,
45.
Though. And that kind of goes to the point of using different combos. I have a different combo for when I freeze you in the air. I have a different combo for when I do a ground overhead. I have a different combo for when I do back 2-1. Because I have to. That's the only way I can optimize. So you will develop a variety of purely optimized combos just from situation to situation. For example, you have a combo for when you anti-air me with down 1. It's a very different combo. It ends the same way.
Well, they all go the same way, though. They just start differently. That's kind of what I was saying earlier. It's either back 3... I don't know, I'm not going to tell you the DM. It's where she backhands you and then goes low. That's one way to start it. Or I can go where she's hits you with her fan like 3 times and then you throw it or whatever. And then there's the one where you charge forward with the fan and then kick him up into the air and then you throw a fan. But all of them end the exact same way of throw a fan to keep you up, kick you twice, throw another fan, kick you twice, and then jump on you. Every single one goes that direction. That's because that's how you maximize your damage, and it's like, if I want to win, I gotta maximize my damage, so therefore I'm cutting out all the other cool combos they put into the game. Because they're worthless.
I still think there's a diversity of setups. I still think the way you land that combo is unique every time. Like, sometimes with Sub-Zero, I'll get my combo because I did my jab anti-air. Sometimes I'll get a combo because, you whiffed an attack, and I get an overhead, and I get it back too. Sometimes you get a combo just because I got a full screen freeze ball.
But that's how you're starting them, I thought.
Animation still,
That's how you're starting them. You have different starters for sure, but at the end of the day, you're still going to the same string that gives you the damage. It's just you're setting them up differently.
That's fun, though. That's interesting. Well, I'm not going to try to sell you.
But I mean, visually, it's not fun because especially if you're on the receiving end. I'm sure Razor can. He's given us flack several times, and I don't blame him at all because I'm the same exact way. When we were playing MK9 and it's smoke, 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 every time I made a mistake, it's like there's only so many times I want to see my guy fall through the air. It's like that just gets boring. Yeah. It gets boring. It really does.
That's like a 20-second combo, though. I don't think there's anything that bad in MKX, but.
There's gonna be more smoke in MKX.
Your sub one takes a while. Like, that one's not. It
wasn't always like that. That's because of the new stabby stab stab mechanic, where you can combo from your stabby stab stab, which I love. I think it's fun. It looks silly, but I adore it.
But anyways, we have differing opinions, and I'm not necessarily, like I said, I still play it and I still have fun when we do. It's just there comes a point where there's like a cutoff point to where I stop having fun, and it's probably after I get the same combo multiple times. And it's like, I admire Redman for being able to play all the different characters he does, because for nothing, if anything, it's at least original. You're getting your ass kicked by a different character, which means you're seeing a different thing.
Select and still win.
Yes. But the discouraging part is you're playing a different character every time, so you can never get used to... Like, when we go back and forth 10 matches, I start to understand how you operate. Therefore, I can start to adjust. Then you'll adjust to my adjusting, and it goes back and forth. That's fun to me, more so than facing this character than facing... Because I can face your Sub-Zero 20 times, get really good. I'll face a Melina or a Scorpion, and I'll get my ass handed to me, because I have no idea what to expect. So that's...
Well, that's another problem with King of the Hill, too. King of the Hill kind of accents that problem, unfortunately. But that's one reason why I was cheering on Redman to use Kano during the live stream, because I wanted to see the salty run back between Django and Redman.
Yeah, that's why.
With the same characters, you know? That's also why I was completely sandbagging Django for that last Melina match. I wanted to see it again. I wanted to see that fight. And FYI, I was only sandbagging for like the last 8% of my life. For the most part, I was playing a competitive match, Django. So...
Pretty sure you told him, so you don't have to...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he doesn't believe me, but it's okay.
All right.
No, it's cool. No, I just want to see everyone have
heard
fun.
this in person, and he chose not to.
All right, well, let's dive into Leatherface, and I'll get mine out of the way real quick. I don't have much to say about him. His gameplay looks great. Once again, going back to what we said, or what I said initially at the start of this podcast, my problem with Triborg was never going to be the gameplay. Gameplay for all these characters is phenomenal for the most part, and their looks and everything. So Leatherface looks great. His variations, changing his look, looks great. His gameplay, from what I saw, most of it looked really cool and fun. I'm surprised he's as fast as he is, but he looks good, and I like the way they use his chainsaw in very vicious fashion, and the hammer, etc., and it looks really crazy. The only thing that worries me about him is he was doing a lot of damage for very little effort. Like, it's kind of how Jason is. I think when Jason first came out, and I heard he got nerfed, but I was doing like 42% or something ridiculous, 39% for doing the same 3 buttons over and over, and it's just simple juggling with the same 3 buttons, and then you grab them for the finish or whatever, and it's like, giggity. And it's just, that sucks when that happens, because there's certain characters that you have to work your ass off just to get a 30% plus combo. And Katana's kind of like that. For 29%, I got to juggle quite a lot, and there's a lot of opportunity to mess up and drop it. Whereas with Leatherface, I was seeing, I want to say 33% off of maybe 4 hits. Maybe one of them was like a command grab, but that was it. It was like a pop-up, the anti-air with the chainsaw, then maybe one more hit than the command grab, and that was it. And I was like, holy crap, that's a lot of damage for very little effort. So that's the only thing that worries me about him. But anyways, that's all I really have to say about him. He looks good, and his fatality was all right, where he splits him in half. We've seen a lot of that, but it's fitting of the character, I suppose. And yeah, he looks neat, interesting.
Nah, fuck him. Interesting is the last word I'd use to describe this guy. Point fact, this is the worst fucking guest character we've ever had. I'm sorry.
I just like how you completely 180 degree. It's great. It's perfect.
I disagree vehemently with everything, except for the fact that maybe he is doing a lot more damage. I don't even care, because you know what? But part of what makes every MK character great is just how they bring their own style and personality and shit, and they've all this crazy shit that they can do. Cyrax can drop bombs and fire a green net, and he can blow himself up and appear at the other side of the arena. Sector's got teleport punches, a flamethrower, and freaking homing missiles, and
freaking sharks with lasers on their head.
I wish Lazerface had sharks with lasers on their head.
You just said Laserface?
If he was Laserface, he'd be so much better.
Laserface.
I think that's a Freudian slip. It should be Laserface.
Oh,
I'm trying very hard to make this character
I would
more
play
interesting.
Laserface.
You know that's the episode title.
Laserface. Fuck yeah. No, all I'm seeing is one asshole with like a bunch of variations that they had to give 3 different suits to inject some amount of interest into the goddamn character, because all of his variations are just him swinging around a fucking chainsaw, because that's all he is, a dude swinging around a fucking chainsaw. He brings absolutely nothing to the table that Jason doesn't do, and do better. And guess
does
what?
bring
When
one thing
when
to the
Jason stands there stock still as a stick figure, it looks intimidating because that's what Jason is. When Leatherface does it, he looks like an idiot. I don't know what the
You
hell
mean
they were thinking.
Laserface?
Well, that's
I
why he
should
looks like an idiot, because his face isn't made of lasers.
No, I mean, why the hell is his neutral position not already him sitting there revving that goddamn chainsaw up?
It
Why
should-
is he just standing there?
It should be him. I imagine his neutral position be him kind of hunched over with his chainsaw out, and he's just kind of swinging back and forth in his crazy maniacal fashion. Not swinging the thing, but he's just like swaying back and forth with it, kind of hunched over like a hunchback would, or
And he's not. He's just standing there.
He's kind of
Until you
rev the chainsaw up.
It is odd.
There is nothing good about this character that's not done to better effect elsewhere. The fucking split you in half like a banana fatality? Seen Kung Lao do that a dozen times. No, I'm sorry. I think I hate this guy. I think that I know that Alien will be better. I wish his name was Laserface.
I think
I
I
get
love
behind
you, but I
someone
don't know what
named
I'm so
Laserface.
afraid of. Well,
No, just
Smoke Man
fuck
will be sure to leave you a fun comment in the.
I'm sure he will. Motherfucker doesn't appreciate Sin Bell. I got nothing to say to him.
Here we go, blow-ups everywhere. We just need a Buzz Lightyear meme.
Love you.
Blow-ups everywhere.
Nah,
That's
fuck this
okay.
character.
He's not a big fan
Boring
of.
and lame.
He's not a big fan of a
Next.
whole lot, anyways. Let him have his one things that he does enjoy.
Yeah.
Here is a lolly. Enjoy the lolly.
He can enjoy it. The rest of us will be sad that it's not Laserface.
I've created something better.
Uh,
Laserface is the new Chrome, ladies and gentlemen. Make it so.
Laserface is
Or
immediately
Razor?
superior to Chrome.
Razor, what's your opinion on Laserface?
I actually didn't see the stream.
Okay.
Some of us had school today.
Yes. All right. Well, Temp then.
I mean, I at first I was indifferent. You know, he has the chainsaws. But I was kind of sold on the wind pose. That is the best wind pose in the game. I was laughing so hard. I thought it was unbelievably funny. Like, I wish every character did that when they won a match. Like, that was amazing.
I couldn't
What did he do
believe
again?
that. I couldn't believe that sold you on the character.
What did he do? I
He does what he does at the end of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, the original. He swings it around like a madman.
Oh.
So he's like twirling
Okay, so-
around with it.
He's
Yeah.
basically frolicking.
He's not frolicking. He's not like skipping around. He's literally just spinning it with one hand, sometimes two. He's going crazy with it, like he does at the end. I think they literally.
frolicking.
I think they literally took it. They probably nailed down the exact same animation. With
But
it.
there aren't any lasers.
No lasers. No.
Well, that's
Ooh,
a
I
problem.
forgot. He has a hammer.
Yeah, he has a hammer.
He does have a hammer.
Okay, I'm done.
No, I'm
I don't
sold.
know. I'm not spending money on him.
Me neither, but I'm sold.
I hope
Stop
Smoke
it.
Man has a lot
You
of
can't
fun.
be
I hope
sold
he's
off a
very
win post.
satisfied.
That's impossible, bro.
Pretty sold over here. Can't speak for you guys. Well, I'm somewhat fully sold.
How could you justify an entire character's inclusion over so many other characters just because he swings his chainsaw around in his wind pose?
What is intrinsically better about Leatherface that Jason doesn't already do? Explain this to me.
Frolic.
Well, he has his chainsaw for everything, so at least it's not like he has his chainsaw for only one variation.
You know what
He
the really
only
funny
has
thing
the
about
hammer
that
in the
is?
second variation.
What the really funny thing about that is? It's like that giant urban myth of Jason being the guy with like a chainsaw and a hockey mask where he actually never used a chainsaw in any film he was ever in.
Yeah, I hate that.
The
Like,
only
bothers
goddamn
me.
thing Leatherface has going for him, and Jason's known in pop culture for doing it better.
It's kind of true. They just like that always bothers me. There's so many times, like on The Simpsons, Bart, you want to check out my chainsaw? And he just
Hey, bro,
jumps-
check my new chainsaw mask.
He's just Bart's. Let me lay some context to this. Bart's scared. Bart's scared in his room because of Sideshow Bob is trying to kill him, and he's in his room at night, like freaking out at everything. And all of a sudden, Homer busts through the door with a hockey mask and chainsaw. The fuck. Anyways, but yes,
No,
it
One
is
of
odd.
Vincent's limit breaks in Final Fantasy
Yes, it
VII
was.
is basically
He
Jason
has
with
a
a
chainsaw and
chainsaw.
hockey mask.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why. There's some that get it right, like Family Guy got it right, and others that have gotten it right. But yeah, there's a lot of times where he has a chainsaw for whatever reason.
To be really fair about it, I guess that the trope of like the chainsaw and hockey mask is you could, I guess, just as easily not apply it to Jason because it's more of like a just
Well, yeah,
the public's mass conception of your stereotypical
Killer,
horror
yeah.
slash.
it's a generic mashup of slasher movie villains that you
Yeah.
can use
Yeah.
when you don't want to like deal with like copyright infringement or whatever.
Right.
I don't know if you guys grew up with Splatterhouse, but that's what I associate the chainsaw and hockey mask with is
That
Splatterhouse.
too. Yeah,
It's definitely
Yeah,
a better.
the Splatterhouse mask is very hockey maskish. It's true.
Well, he looks like Jason a lot to begin with, but yeah, the chainsaw. He does use a chainsaw there, so there you go. Well, there you have it, folks. There was discussion on Leatherface. One thing I have a question for you guys. I not to like further like push Smoke Man's buttons or give him shit, but he constantly brings up TerrorDrome. Does it bother you personally? I mean, nobody here I don't think is a big fan of TerrorDrome, so and I know Smoke Man's worked on it to whatever degree, and he's a big fan of it, and there's nothing wrong with that. I've played the game myself back in the day when it was pretty freshly new, and I even downloaded it again not too long ago just to try it again. But for an unlicensed game that's using these characters unlicensed, they don't own any of the rights to any of that stuff. They're just making a game, which is perfectly cool as long as they don't get a cease and desist. More power to them. But Smoke Man pointed out that a couple moves were essentially, in quotes, taken right out of TerrorDrome. Like one of Jason's moves or something of Freddy had. Basically all the horror characters have had something they've had in TerrorDrome, be it coincidence or just because maybe they felt like taking those moves and put it in their game because they liked them.
Well, yeah,
Does that bother you, anybody at all, that they would take something from somebody that has no rights to these characters and be like, hey, I like that, and we'll put it in our game? Do you feel like that's
I guess it's like
wrong at all?
It's scuzzy.
it depends. I think
it's about as scuzzy as taking characters that you don't own the rights to and using them without the permission of the people involved. It's tit for tat.
There's a question of like shared inspiration. Like, did the TerrorDrome is that move in a movie? Is it a famous moment, or is it like something they came up with on their own? Like,
well, that's kind of the problem. Is some of these are somewhat, especially with Leatherface. I don't know what two moves he was
with Leatherface other than what
right.
games do have him do because he's such a.
I don't know what two moves.
Character.
I don't know what two moves he was referring to, but he just said there was two moves. But it's like everything Leatherface has in this game is stuff I would have predicted he would have had. Not even seen TerrorDrome, like how he plays in TerrorDrome. I would have said, "Yep, I bet he has a move like this," and I bet he has a move like if we were all brainstorming together, I'm sure we would have come up with the same kind of stuff.
It's like you look at Freddy and MK9, and there's a move he has where he sticks his claw in the ground, and bigger versions of his claws come up out of the ground and hit you in the feet.
Right.
And it's like, I've seen him do that several times in the movies. Of course that's in there. But then he also has a move where he makes like a little green drop of liquid come out of the sky, and when it hits you, you sort of briefly get stunned like you're asleep.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's... sort of Freddy-ish. He does make people sleep so he can attack them in the dreams, but I don't remember green liquid so much.
Either way, I guess for me, Shadowloo says it's kind of scuzzy. To me, I don't see it that way. I really don't, because at the end of the day, they don't have.
I don't think there's anything wrong with quote unquote illegally working with characters you don't own. Basically fan fiction.
Sure.
Or fan art, and it's like. Yeah, you can get caught and cease and desisted, then your project's over. That just means to me, maybe you should shut up about your project until it's finished, and then you can put it out on a torrent, and everybody can get it before they can stop you. You shouldn't not make it. You should just be more secretive about it.
Sure, but I guess the main point was is it scuzzy for if they see those moves in TerrorDrome and they put it specifically in their game because they really like it that it's in TerrorDrome and they're like, that's a great idea. and then they put it in MKX for those characters, do you see that as scuzzy? I guess my ultimate answer is no. I don't see that as scuzzy, or it's, first of all, it's an unlicensed game with characters that WB owns, and it's a WB licensed game that's using it. So by all means, there's, to my opinion, it's like they have every right to use what these guys are using illegally. So why not just take inspiration if they... I mean, for all we know, the NRS could be fans of TerrorDrome. They like Ed Boon specifically likes horror characters. Maybe he saw this game, or some other people on the team saw this game. They're like, hey, we should put that in our game. Is there really anything... I don't see anything wrong with it.
Like, if TerrorDrome was my product or whatever, and I saw those moves, I'd be flattered.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I'd understand, well, I guess they can't credit me because I don't actually own what I made here.
Yeah, we'll give credit to that illegal game that's being made, or whatever.
Mention TerrorDrome in the credits. I don't think they can legally do that, so it's like...
But also, if you're making TerrorDrome, it means you love these characters. Which means, and you also love fighting games, which means you probably are going to play MKX and play these characters. So I would be incredibly flattered, incredibly happy to be able to like point out to my friends, they put the moves that I put in my game, they're putting in their game. That's pretty awesome. I'd be happy.
Yeah, the only reason that I would have to be mad is if like TerrorDrome did it better. I would, because you expect more from Mortal Kombat.
Right. I don't know the full story, and I'm sure Smoke Man will chime in and tell us exactly what moves we were talking about, and maybe give us some evidence, or
because it's like
give
if it's a shitty version of the move, or like the character was way better in TerrorDrome, then I'd be all like, man, they can't even steal right.
I don't know. It's going to be personal philosophy too. I'm of the opinion that you can't steal physical motions. You can't steal motion capture.
Right.
You know if anything's free reign, that has to be free reign. If Leatherface had a lightning kick exactly like Chun-Li, I would not cry foul. I'd be like, no, it's movement. You can't copyright movement, in my opinion. Colors you can't copyright. Like I don't.
Here's the thing. There was a big uproar about some Marvel mobile game literally stealing frame for frame supers from Street Fighter and giving them to Marvel characters, like Spider-Man was doing Chun-Li's kicks.
And Luke Cage has a Cody super.
Yeah, and a bunch of people were upset about that. And I wasn't at all. I was all like, "That's cool. They're like homaging."
Right.
Well, I'm pretty sure behind the curtains they had permission.
It's
I'm
Marvel
pretty
versus
sure
Capcom.
they have a relationship with Capcom. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I agree with everything that's been said. I just don't. I don't know. I guess I don't see it as a big deal, and if anything, it's flattering. So whoever made TerrorDrome should be happy, and also happy if they haven't got a cease and desist order by now. I don't know the progress with that.
The game's pretty much. I guess it's never really done with a fan project. You can keep editing forever. You can George Lucas that thing all you want, but
I'm pretty sure it's gotten
done.
one.
If they got a C&D now, that's not going to stop anybody from having a copy of the game.
I'm almost.
Well, what sucked though, because they would get so many, desist orders. Like it wouldn't just be one company after them. Like they would literally get gangbanged by multiple production studios.
Right.
But that's not going to be fun for anybody.
I'm pretty sure they have gotten a cease and desist, if I remember correctly, and I think they just kept working on the game, but saying it's not they're not going to release it. They're just posting pictures or something like that. But then of course, it finds its way out, type of thing.
Yeah, as long as it's like a torrent, that's illegal anyway. Who's gonna?
Did I just hear the phrase "gangbanged" by multiple studios?
Yeah.
Are we sure we want to go with Lazerface for the title of this episode?
I mean, we're all democracy here. So
maybe
title it gangbanged by Lazerface. I don't know.
There you go. Or Lazerface gangbanged by multiple studios. That'd be a hell of a title. It's a long ass title.
It is pretty long. I don't know it'll fit.
Brody.
Anything else, guys?
Nope. That pretty much covers it. We cover a lot of ground here, and we're making pretty good timing for everything we have covered. One thing I do want to mention before we leave is check out The Lost with Shadowloo and Razor. Check out the strip show that Temp and I are hosting now. It's very sexy.
You guys didn't tell me you were doing a comic book show. I read comic books.
You can be
Razor, we're doing a comic book show. It's pretty tight.
You can guest on it. It's just that's replacing the Graveyard now.
I got you.
The Graveyard's going to be saved as like the special spontaneous stuff like the Warrior Shrine is, whereas the strip I wanted something kind of more thematic and different to actually do, and I wanted to brush. I was about to say a breath of fresh air. Like, what the, I'm having a hard time talking. But no, you're more than welcome to guest on it.
Guys should read Karen Gillan's Vader comic. Really good stuff.
Yeah,
I've been reading the Darth Vader book too. It actually is really good.
I'm all about taking suggestions, because for now I want to cover a lot of stuff that I've covered that I know is good, so Temp can read it as well, and then we can kind of discuss it. But there's going to be a point where I would like to start reading stuff I haven't read yet. Sandman is on my list. I actually picked up the first volume of that.
Oh, you wonderful person. You're going to love this. Sandman's the best.
Yeah, I hear nothing but great things about it. So at one point, that'll be the comic for everyone to read for that particular episode, and Temple read it as well, and then we'll have fun discussing that for the first time, because yeah, I've not read it, but I always hear great things about it.
I gotta be on when you do Sandman. I gotta be there.
Hey, yeah, like I said, you guys can be on it. It's just I want to keep the two-man mentality, but if we want to have a third guest, then that's by all means. Then anyways, check out those two. Check out the Warrior Shrines. I'm sure we'll get more of those as the beta goes on. I believe Django and Temp want to do those more often as the beta progresses, to kind of keep updating on that front. If we ever do a graveyard, check out those, of course. Those will be sporadic and random like they usually are. And yeah, check out all the content with the kind of the new 2-person format going forward. And once if Injustice is announced, we will turn Netherkast into the main Injustice one. And that's kind of how it's right now, is the main NK one. But yeah, anyways, going forward, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Next week you should have another Lost from Razor and Shadowloo, so hopefully you guys have that to look forward to. And yeah, anyways, that'll do it for this episode.
We'll jump on it.
Right,
I guess that's got to happen now.
my pony.
And I guess that since we're going to be covering Injustice 2, I kind of have to play it, don't I?
Well, you don't have to.
It helps.
Good.
It'd be nice.
Buy it for Xbox.
Maybe you'll enjoy Injustice. Buy it for Maybe you'll. I was gonna suggest, if I get the PS4 copy, you should consider getting it, and then maybe if you play with Temp and I, you'll have a little bit more fun with it.
Well, actually, here's the thing. Razor is going to be on board with Street Fighter V, so we're all going to have PS4s by then, so it should be a non-issue, I
Except
imagine.
for Django.
Excellent.
But either way,
I might be a little bit behind the rest of you guys getting my PS4, but I will eventually, probably around when story mode comes out.
Dude, I just got my Chun-Li stick in the mail. I'm so hyped for Street Fighter V. I'm hella excited.
but yeah,
I hope you're not too salty about Mad Catz. Going.
I'm worried
tits up
about
and,
that.
PS3 support is a thing now, though.
anyways, the conversation's gonna continue, guys, and we'll see you next time. Keep talking. Act like we're gonna keep going.
Like a new show.
It's like a news show.
Talk
Yeah,
about.
you just gotta start talking. I'll just fade it out as you guys are talking. I'll play us out.
Make sure the music's appropriate. Make sure it's very cordial.
Yes, appropriate music.
For real though, I am hella excited about Street Fighter V.
We'll catch you guys next time.
That was pathetic.